Well, welcome back to the 8th EBERSPÄCHER Luge World Cup here in PyeongChang, South Korea, site of the 2018 Olympic Winter Games and more recently the 2024 Youth Olympic Winter Games. We've just been treated to two quite spectacular races in men's doubles and women's doubles. Incredibly close racing on what I think is one of the most entertaining tracks on the planet right here in PyeongChang. My name is Mark Hatton. I'm here with Reed Watts. Reed, here's a shot of the track. Tell us what you know.
Yeah, this track here from top to bottom really hard. Now we have 16 corners here from the men's. Corner 2, a really tough spot. Corner 6, another one we've seen a lot of problems with today. Corner 9, especially being the hardest part of the track. You're going from top to bottom. 2 there. What I was talking about, 6, another tricky one. 9 into the chicane, the toughest part. 13 we've seen problems with. 15 and even to the entrance of 16, all causing problems. You need to be dialed in top to bottom here.
Yeah, I mean, we focused a lot on curve 9, but let's look at this run down the track, and if you talk us down, and especially to curve 2 that's coming up.
Yeah, here we go. Have a look at Felix's feet here, really steering hard in corner 2. It gets real right off the get-go. Corner 4 is a big slingshot for the men here. Massive whip speed out. You got to be dialed in there. Big sweeper corner 5 into this tricky corner 6 that sets you up nice into 7. You don't get that right, it can be really costly in time. Now we're coming into corner 8 here, which really sets you up for the hardest part of the track, corner 9. Get up, get out, and shoot the chicane nice and straight. Corner 12, you can gain your composure for a little second before this other tricky corner 13 here, and then into the big sweeper corner 14, which you really need to be dialed in on your exit to get a good entrance into 15 here. Nice straight and a big steep uphill section to the finish line in 16.
Wow. Well, I mean, I watched that, and we see a few, I guess, bear traps down the run. A few banana skins for these races. First being 2, I'd say. Second being 8, 9. And then 15, we found surprisingly full of action for those 2 doubles races.
Yeah, that's right. If you don't get that exit out to 14, 15 into the uphill section can be very costly in time.
So the ice temperature a little warmer than it was, minus 4.6. It went down to around minus 6 for the doubles race. Here we see the track record from Dominic Fischnaller, 42.475, and a start record set today by Tucker West of 2.505. That's going to make Tucker feel great.
I know. The Americans have been sliding really well here all week, too.
Yeah, and I think Tucker is due a win. I mean, the guy is such a hard-working athlete in the off-season and in the on-season. And going in with a start record, confidence has got to be high, as is important on this track. We've also got some athletes I'm really looking forward to seeing. Walter Wikström being one of them from Finland, who's really impressed me this season. He's been an absolute revelation, considering he's only been sliding for 3 years.
That's super impressive to be competing at the World Cup stage already after only 3 years of sliding experience.
And then looking at setup, we were looking at consistency in the last 2 races we saw here. That's got to be huge decisions for the coaches, hasn't it, in terms of how do you set your athlete up? Are you going for all-out speed, or are you going to roll the dice a little bit less and go for that consistency that's so important here?
Well, there's a couple moving parts into that too, right? First of all, it's not necessarily just what the coach wants. The athlete has to be able to slide that down the track well, especially here where they need to have clean runs for the confidence to be high. Because you could be on a total rocket ship of a sled, for say, right, in a perfect setup, but if you can't get that thing down the hill, it's not going to go. Secondly, no one's been here for 7 years, and that's only a select few of the group. This is a new generation of sliders coming up here who haven't been here before, right? So they don't know how to set up sleds exactly. So really interesting to see.
Yeah, it's a new generation of sliders. Lots of these racers never having been here. Mateusz Sokovic on the start is our first athlete to open up the racing today in the men's singles. Bib number 1 for Poland. Sokovic, solid, consistent slider.
Exactly. He's looking for big things this season as well. He's really upped his start game. Massive starts this year, but he's just looking for the speed down the track now.
And again, this consistency, having come off the back of maybe 6 to 8 runs for training, it's not a lot of time to get a brand new track get dialed in.
No, exactly. But at the same time, too, it kind of evens out the playing field. There's a lot more room for moving around.
Absolutely. And you made a good point in the past races where you almost need to look at this first race run as an additional training run, so you can improve by the second one when you've had this little training. So Sokovic gets us going with a 268 start. Little high in two, but not bad at all from Sokovic. Lots to learn here on this track. Again, as we said, 7 years since they've been here, but they just had the Youth Olympics, so they've got lots of new volunteers and officials that really, really want to be involved in another big race, and this is shaping up to be a big one.
Just getting there through, had the pontoons down for safety, but made the best out of that situation for sure. Really high peak in the entries of 13, but managed that really well.
Carrying good speed here though, Sokovic, very early to 15. Lucky to keep it down there, but brings it across nicely to 16. As we're going to see our opening time being a 48.541 for Mateusz Sokovic. He coached in partnership with Team Germany, which must be a massive step up for a small nation.
Yeah, exactly. They've had a good partnership for a few years now. Mateusz, kind of happy with that run, but at the same time, there's definitely time in it, especially out of that exit at corner 9. Just a bit more confidence there. Right here, you see him coming out and the feet down, just skidding a bit, keeping it off the walls. Great correction from the Polish slider.
It really was, wasn't it? That was top-notch survival skills from Sokovic there. Very classy sliding out of 9 there. It's quite minimalist in what he did to get the sled going where he wanted it to.
Exactly.
And another athlete who's been on such a trajectory over the last couple of years, you know, culminating in last year's World Championships in Altenburg, where he got a 5th place finish. Alex Falazzo of Australia.
Yeah, he's really stepping into form these last couple seasons, looking really good on the sled. Nice corner 2.
Olympian from here in 2018, so he knows this track. He was pretty close to the beginning of his journey as an athlete back then, so he's a very different athlete now. He's put in a lot of size in the summer. He works very hard in his start and has a very productive partnership with the Canadian team, with Robert Fegg and Duncan Kennedy looking after his sleds and his training. As Falazzo's putting down a solid run here, quarter of a second ahead of Sokovic.
Yeah, maybe a lot of that too coming from the experience from 7 years ago back in PyeongChang. Coming across the line, he's going to take it by almost half of a second there.
Great racing there from Alex Falazzo, putting down a mark of 48.090 from the Australian. You know, Alex Falazzo really announced his arrival onto the luge scene back in 2015, I think it was, when he won a junior race in Whistler.
Oh, yeah.
And that was really, everyone stood up and said, hang on a minute, should that be reading Austria, not Australia?
Yeah, that was
a... realized that, wow, this guy's the real deal.
Yeah, that's right. Looking pretty happy with that run, too.
So here we go with Leon Felderer of Italy, our first Italian of the day in this men's singles World Cup, presented by EBERSPÄCHER. Leon Felderer, the athlete's representative as well, which gives him a spot on the executive board as well of the International Federation, which just shows the regard that this Italian is held by his peer group. Voted by the athletes into the athlete's representative place. Felderer on the start, just dropping back by 27 thousandths, but straight into the green.
Yep, looking like he carried a bit of pressure on the exit of 2, so taking him back into the red here. Only by 15 hundredths. They're in racing now.
Yeah, just 15 thousandths back, Felderer. As we're looking at this next split, a little high in the entrance of 8 there, though. That's not going to help him too much. And sideways pressure.
That's not going to help the time at all. Very late into corner 12 there with a massive speed, 130 kilometers an hour.
Very high in 13 as well, skidding into 14. Going to have to get his composure back in this big right-hander.
Little early out of corner 15, doesn't set you optimally for 16 there in the uphill section, and half a second back.
And across the finish line to 3rd place, Leon Felderer, 48.603, half a second back off our current leader, Falazzo, Alex Falazzo of Australia.
Yeah, looking at that run, definitely on the edge there. Coming here out of corner 9, just sliding out there, holding on, just clips that little right, that chicane. Bit of sideways pressure and really late into corner 12.
He showed incredible restraint there, not dropping the feet. I thought out of 9 there. Was really trusting in himself in his position. And to a degree, that worked out for him.
Yeah, not happy, but definitely time to be found in the second run.
So Johnny Gustafsson of the USA just stepped down from the top step of the podium in the Nations Cup a few hours earlier.
Really on that slider's right wall going into the first corner, which is not ideal. Gets his composure out. Really nice corner too.
Yeah, much lower line than we've seen so far around curve 2 there. Just dabbing a foot there going in.
Just 6 thousandths up top. It's really tight racing with Ferlazzo here. But this is what it all comes down to, having a real tidy corner 9 here. Comes out, that's close, just holding on. Getting, oh man.
On the edge, Johnny Gustafsson of the USA just charging down this run here in PyeongChang, 3 thousandths of a second in it. That is nothing in this sport. Little high in the entrance to 16, that will cost him, however, and he drops back by 1/10 of a second in second place behind Alex Palazzo.
Yeah, it was all really back and forth until the corner 13 there, and then the mistakes out of corner 9 there really seemed to compound at the first uphill section there out of corner 12 there.
You see him just going down, sliders right here. Very lucky not to clip that wall.
That could have been a lot more catastrophic there.
And using all of his instinct to get it into 11 there out of 9.
Yeah, that's it. Watching all this has taken me back. This track is something else, truly.
Okay, so there we go. Ferlazzo in first, Gustafsson in second, and Stokovic in third place at the moment. And here we go with a new start record holder, Tucker West of the USA. Looking like he's trying to break his own record, but just clipping that right-hand wall. Again, 251, that's not far off his own start record.
And already almost a 10th up just in that start split there. That is something huge.
Absolutely, carrying positive speed all the way down the track here is Tucker West, just building on that advantage on the start. Let's see how it multiplies by this 27 split. As he's building up time, almost 0.2 of a second ahead. Wow, so close, but just gets it through. The Dragon's Tail there as we go very high in 13 as well. Gets his composure back in 14. Nice entrance to 15. Just having to do a little correction on that uphill section, which costs a bit of time. Into second place behind Alex Palazzo. Jumping ahead of Johnny Gustafsson with just 0.03 of a second in it, goes Tucker West into second place for the USA.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, Mark, there, is once you get through corner 9, which it was close, but he got through there, you can't count out corner 13 as well, right? Really high on the entrance there and done just a bunch of sideways pressure into 14, not leaving an optimal entrance.
Yeah, I mean, 13's been an interesting corner all day, I feel. There's been a lot of people just getting thrown up really high in that curve, which just doesn't set them up well for 14, as you see here.
Yeah, you got that bump there, and everything costs, right? Especially coming into this section here where it goes uphill in a very steep way.
Let's try that again. That's so good.
But Tucker not looking too unhappy with that second place. Knows there's more he can build on for run number 2. Ferlazzo of Australia still in the top spot as we move to, well, a man with incredible memories of this track from 2018. I don't think he would mind if we said the shock winner of the 2018 Olympic Winter Games, David Gleirscher of Austria.
Exactly.
Straight into the green.
That's got to be building big confidence here. Already 0.6 up here, just like he's at home.
Absolutely building speed the whole way down.
Yeah, he sets up into this crux section here, corner 9. Just holding on.
Nails it.
Beautiful.
As we're coming up to the 37 split, let's see what he can do. Little rooster tail out the back of the sled going into 13 there, but 14 looking solid.
Almost a quarter second up already. This is going to be a big lead at the finish here.
David Gleirscher putting one down now. 3.5 tenths up. David Gleirscher ahead of Alex Falazzo. Just a masterclass there, I think, from the 2018 Olympic champion.
Exactly right. Not too much more we could have expected out of him coming into this with all the confidence in the world, right? For a lot of people, they haven't even been here, and they haven't been here in a while. But the last time, if you won here as Olympic champion, that's gotta do something huge for the confidence.
And he's probably watched it back a few times as well.
I think I did as well.
So David Gleirscher soon to see his brother coming down the track in about 10 sleds as well, but a commanding lead there from the Austrian. As we come to our first German of this men's World Cup here in PyeongChang, Timon Grancagnolo made the step up from the juniors and has done it in a very stylish and very solid way.
Yeah, exactly. Putting in some real promising performances in the really, really competitive German team here. I believe this might be his first time down this track too, so limited experience, just doing the best he can.
Yeah, I would think back in 2018 he would have been probably 14 years old or something. So definitely his first time at this track, and big hit on the exit at 9 there. Let's hope he's okay. Really came down onto the short wall hard there. Now, as we know, it's all about getting those points at this stage of the season, but I think Grancagnolo is going to step out of the track here. Hopefully we get to see that again. That was a pretty heavy hit and sideways out of 8 into 9.
Yeah, that was it. I think that was a thumbs up from him, which is the best sign. I think he's just a little more disappointed than not. If you look at the exit of corner 8, that's where he built a lot of pressure. I'm sure we'll get the rerun of that shortly.
A big start from Grancagnolo, but here we see that exit at corner 8.
Tons of pressure, too high, and then just hit that entrance onto corner 9 too early there and just dumped him right into that short wall.
Massive disappointment for Timon Grancagnolo. I was looking at his training times during the week, and he was having a good week for someone that is essentially a debutant at this track, and just hitting that bump on the entrance of 9, which is very, very difficult to keep it on its runners. As we get to the hardest working man in show business, this is Wolfgang Kindl of the very strong Austrian team, who has just stepped off the back of a wonderful gold medal in the men's doubles. So is, I should think, coming into this with a huge amount of confidence.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if you even had time to take his suit off between heats there. Got a warm up in.
Yeah, probably quick protein shake and back up to the top.
Off to the races, that's right.
Interesting seeing the Austrians using the traditional finger spikes as opposed to the needle spikes the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's a little different. It seems to be working out pretty well for them too.
It does. So, 2 Austrians, and Kindl trying to chase down David Gleirscher here, and only back by 17 thousandths of a second.
Looking at home at this track, really laying it back, great position.
Absolutely wonderful position as he comes through and just lays it down through there and straight into the green.
That's it, stuck it out of corner 9 there.
On the 13 again though. Did you see the height in 13
That's
there?
right, you get that early height and it will not be your friend on the exit there going into 14.
But crossing the finish line into first place ahead of David Gleirscher with a 47.650, almost a tenth of a second ahead, goes Wolfie Kindl of Austria.
And still definitely a bit of time in that run too. Stuck it out of corner 9 beautifully, but that corner 13 has been catching people out all day as well. You get that height too early and it will just not work out for you on the exit.
Yeah, he really got thrown up in the curve there. Hopefully we see it on the slow-mo here.
Yeah,
so
right
see there, almost above the vertical there. And lots of ice of a Schleiss coming out of the back of the sled. So, Wolfgang Kindl to Gleirscher with Falazzo of Australia still in third place.
Track is now clear for Gints.
And our first Latvian of the day, Gints having a great race in Whistler last week, coming in 7th place in the World Championships. And right now, a commanding start time.
Yeah, this young Latvian's been super impressive the last few seasons, really coming into his own here.
Really stretching out here, really maximizing the aerodynamics through the top curves. Little parallel into 8 though. Apologies, I got lost there.
Into the middle.
Here we go.
Here, quarter
in the 9.
Very early. That's going to be tough. And another crash there.
Berzin's trying to hold on to the sled there and managing to.
Another crash.
It's looking leg up. I don't think he'll make it if he gets back on at this point.
No, he just lost too much speed before that steep uphill section. But he's going to give it a go.
He's going to give it a go. That uphill section right after this corner 15 is really steep. I don't think there will be enough in there. Just to get him down to the low point. Corner 9 bites again.
And not quite making up, and I think that shows just how steep that finish gradient is into 16.
Exactly, and why it's so important to be dialed in all the way there to carry that momentum. Having a look at this again, too. Coming into the entrance here, he keeps it lower. He gets high at the early part of corner 9, but that just spits you out on that slider's right wall, and you're met with that right chicane there, and to the left, the classic double whammy, and then airborne on off his side into corner 12.
We see again where the track just drops away, and that contact by the left wall, it's just a perfect storm, isn't it? There's nothing you can do. At that point, he was a passenger.
That's exactly it. You're just along for the ride at that point. When it drops away like that, that's when sleds start to take flight. But good to see he's okay. It's the most important thing. He's up on his own. Probably just a little more disappointed than anything else.
Absolutely. They breed him tough in Sigulda, that's for sure. As we come to our 10th slider of the day, we're flying through this order. Anton Dukash of Ukraine.
Anton as well, over the last, since the Beijing Olympics, has had some really commendable results as well.
Hey.
Really great to see him stepping up.
I feel like all of Team Ukraine have just taken a step forward in the sport.
Absolutely, and I think Anton likes this track quite a bit here, so it's gonna be really good to see what he can do. Big starter too.
Definitely, yeah, big, strong lad. 10th athlete off, Anton Dukash of Ukraine, gets us going again. Little high in 2 there, 2 being one of those curves that can really catch you out, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and when you make a mistake up there too, it just compounds all the way down. His entrance into 3 didn't look too bad though, so I don't think it'll be that much time as long as he can keep it dialed in the bottom here. Mistakes out of 7 into 8 here.
Tapping a foot into 8. Up and manages to get it into 11.
Boy,
okay, this is where he's got to throw down and really put the head back and stretch out, try and carry some of that speed, and that positive speed he took out of 9.
Us coming out there a little early out of 15 into this uphill section.
So into 5th place, back by half a second. But a very, very instinctive curve 9.
No kidding. He just came out. When I saw that frame coming out of corner 9, I didn't know if he had it, but he just made it through.
Again, big start there from Dukash. You see him just tapping a foot there.
Beautiful.
And hopefully
shot.
we'll see that exit 9 again, because that was really quite special.
Yeah, just holding on there. Again, coming out of that on the slider's right side, as we call early in this sport, that's where it's a real gamble.
So to another Latvian, Kaspars Rinks. Again, one of these young Latvians that's made the jump up from the juniors, and so effectively.
Yeah, put some really fast times in there. He's young still too, just needs to work on that consistency, because when he can put it down, he's a real force.
Had a tough race in Whistler last weekend, so hoping to make up for that here in PyeongChang. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have been here before.
Up 600's back in the top section so far, looking pretty good here, looking pretty comfortable more or less in his position too. Here we go into the beast of the track, corner 9.
Only a 10th back and managing to carry some good speed. Not a bad entrance. 127 kilometers an hour, but this is going to be a high 13.
Okay, good. Great entrance into 14 there. Nice down the middle.
Looking good out of 15 as well, getting that nice cross into 16. Beautiful run from Kasper's Ranks, just back by half a second into 5th place.
Yeah, really strong run. Only assuming he's only had 7 runs down this track. That was really well done.
He looked comfortable. He didn't stop pushing the whole way.
Exactly, and that's the only way you can tame this track is you can't stop pushing top to bottom. Right out there, getting real close, but that's the way it is here.
Nice little weight shift, just going over that hump. And just hanging on the end of 11 there, but of 12. But didn't seem to affect him too much. He had a good 13-14 transitions, which has been catching out so many of our athletes today.
Yeah, exactly. It's just about getting that height in the right place in that corner 13.
I think it's the speed of movement. It's not a lot of track in between those two curves either. So if you're not rolling effectively, it's a very, very tough curve to tame. And here we go. Is this the revenge? Felix Loch of Germany, who historically missed out on an Olympic medal in the Olympics here in 2018 when the Dragon's Tail very much caught up with him out of corner 9. But Felix Loch just rolling back the years right now. Just such a great performance in Whistler last weekend where he got a silver medal. And coming round 8, looking good into 9.
Beautiful.
The best we've seen from Loch, 127 kilometers an hour. Coming up to 37 split, a little early to 14, just bumped on there, but didn't hold him back too much. Nice and late into 15, late peak. Beautiful sliding from Felix Loch, vintage Loch into 3rd. Looking to build on that for the second one, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. A big redemption run for him, especially after the heartbreak of PyeongChang. It was looking like a really good run there, but the speed, I don't think, for Felix Loch is just there right now.
Just couldn't find it. He found it last weekend in Whistler. You see him just getting picked up there.
But right here, into corner 9, gets the height in the right place. Just stuck the exit.
So he did all the hard work. Absolutely. Felix Loch looking for redemption on this track and has made a good step towards it with that run. But here's someone who might have something to say about it. The form athlete of the moment, reigning world champion, World Cup leader, Max Langenhan. Just incredible.
Incredible athlete. After his win last week, he's here to prove something, and he's really going for that World Cup overall, which he can secure today.
That's the great thing, I mean, which would make next week just a procession. But the one man that can stop that is Nico Gleirscher. If Nico Gleirscher wins today, he puts the pressure on Max for next weekend. But right now, Max just looking like he's sliding on rails.
Exactly, as he always does in full Max form here. Looking good. See how we can tame this corner 9. Just coming out, sticking it on the edge. 500ths of a second in it now.
Fantastic feeling there. Little high on the exit there.
Beautiful exit into 14, but losing some time to Kindl.
Good 15-16 transition. It's going to be close at the finish. It's only a 10th in it. Langenhan into 3rd, knocking Felix Loch into 4th. And Kindl still on the top spot.
Yeah, really impressive run by Max's. I'm sure we all expected here, but just not maybe where he wants the speed to be.
Yeah, it did look a little, there were a few small mistakes in places. The critical points, such as 9, absolutely on point. But just hanging on the end here, you see him just rising up.
Carrying a lot of pressure, having to really trust that rollback to keep him from hitting that left wall.
So, some work to do for Max Langenhan in run number 2. And here is the world number 2 in the standings, Nico Gleirscher of Austria. Now, Nico Gleirscher, as we were saying earlier, Nico Gleirscher can ruin the party for Max Langenhan if he wins today. He has to finish ahead of Max Langenhan today to stay in contention.
Exactly, and it looks like the Austrians are running pretty quick right now, too.
Very smooth sliding here from Gleirscher. And that's being rewarded with that advantage just building up. A little high in the middle there. Let's see how we are at the 27 split. Okay, it's dropping back. He's starting to lose speed. We've only got 12 thousandths of a second in it. Got to find something special in the bottom section of the track as we go into the red. Bit of a spray of ice out of the back of the sled into 13.
Losing a lot of time, a 10th back already from those mistakes.
And a little skid out of 15 as well. That's not going to help his cause. He comes through the finish line into 5th place, Nico Gleirscher, with a 47.927.
Exactly, but the race within this race, right, it's still up for grabs. There's always a second run, close enough. He seems pretty happy with that, too.
He does. He knows he can find speed on that second run, I think.
Absolutely. Just smiling about it, having a good time. Enjoying the moment.
It's a fun track, isn't it?
When you get it right.
Nico Gleirscher getting it 95% right there down the track, but just needs to find that other 5% to keep the pressure on Max Langenhan for the overall title.
Exactly. Definitely a lot of time in that run, and I think he knows it too, going into run number 2.
So, Kristas Apajods of Latvia, the 2016 Youth Olympic champion.
One of my favorite sliders to watch on tour right now. Don't think he's had the speed he's wanted all season, but he's always such a strong athlete to watch on the sled, looking so calm, dialed position, just really relaxing and always nail his lines.
And a great curve too there, and that shows by just going straight into the green by 7 thousandths of a second. That's, I think, one of the best curve twos we've seen so far today.
Yeah, looking really nice here, but back in the red here.
He does well carrying speed in the bottom of the track, doesn't he, Apajods? Big guy, long levers.
Yeah, got a little loose out of 9 there, but really stuck the landing, which is the most important part here. Still within a 10th in the bottom section, so he's in, but this is really hard to build.
One of the better 13-14s. Just tagging the left wall out of
16 there. Into 4th, though, still in.
That's made it even more interesting in this title race because he's moved ahead of Nico Gleirscher, which has made Nico Gleischer's job all that more difficult to catch Langenhan in the overall standings.
That's exactly it. No, it was really good to see Kristers with a run like that. Just a little loose off the tail end of corner 9 there, but stuck the landing, which is the most important part there.
And just almost driving 15 too well here.
I know. That's the first we've seen of that all night.
Absolutely, and just clipping that left wall. And as we were saying in the doubles race, that steep uphill section is very unforgiving to small mistakes.
Very unforgiving.
So Jonas Müller of Austria, our next athlete, bib number 16. Jonas Müller, 5th last weekend in the World Championships. Another athlete that's hitting a vein of form at just the right time.
Exactly, European champion too earlier this year.
Absolutely. And Jonas Müller straight into the green off the start by 17 thousandths of a second.
A little high off the end of corner 2 there, but looking okay here. See how he carries that speed into 4. 600ths in it still. Looking okay. Little bump on 6 there. Handles it well. Just holding on right now.
And here we get to the critical point of the track. And manages to stick the landing. Now he needs to carry more speed. He's down to 4 thousandths of a second on the last split, and I think he's lost too much time. He's back by a 10th now, so he needs to find something really special out of 15, and he's going the right way about it with an exit like that, but is it going to be enough as he crosses the finish line? No, it's not. Into 6th place, Jonas Müller, back by a 1/4 of a second from Wolfgang Kindl.
And that's the thing we've kind of been seeing all night is if you don't have the speed going into 13 there, it's almost impossible to get on that uphill section.
It is, yeah. And that carrying of the speed through that bottom section, it's so critical. His 13 again was, I hope we're going to see that, was a little bit early, but one of the better ones we've seen, which has been causing so many problems, which is interesting because in the doubles race, 13 didn't seem to be that much of a tricky curve. So I'm guessing the extra speed with that short transition from 12 to 13 is making life a little tough for these singles athletes. Well, this is the slider I like to watch the most, Dominic Fischnaller. The slider's slider, classical slider from the old school, good position, works in diagonals. If you were going to run a coaching clinic for kids doing luge, this is a man I'd put up on the screen.
I agree right here. Always a solid slider, always really consistent. Definitely looking to be on the podium here today.
Dominic Fischnaller starting to build a lead here, up by 0.06 of a second.
But it's all about what happens here down to hold that speed into the bottom section, especially critical out of corner 9.
A little flat, but gets away with it.
Nails it, nails the entrance into 12 too. Very well done. See if he can make it through this tricky corner 13. A little high, but manages it well and into the red.
By 0.03 of a second, he needs a good 15-16 if he's going to get it back, and he gets it. He gets that late peak in 15 as he cuts towards the finish line of the uphill and back into second place. Dominic Fischnaller by just 0.03 of a second. Well, it's on.
It's on. And
for run number 2.
He didn't lose that much time in that graveyard uphill section, so really looking good here.
And now hopefully we're going to see this 9 curve in a bit, because I want you to explain this very flat line across the middle to me. Yep. Not much of a peak, very flat line through the middle.
Well, the thing with corner 9 is what I found. I don't want to give all my secrets away, Mark, but
no, you're waiting for the comeback.
Yeah, exactly. But it's that high peak towards the exit. It's called like a Top Gun line where it sets you out close to that slider's left wall, and then it just sets you perfectly into the right side going into 12 the way it is. If you come stuck on that right side, if you don't hit that wall and get airborne, it'll just put you late into 12 more time as well.
Beautifully explained, Reed.
My own secrets, though.
Okay, back we come to the top of the track, to Seiya Kobayashi of Japan. Kobayashi training with the American team at the moment, which has been great for him. This athlete has made great strides from the juniors up to the senior ranks in the last 2 years. Still young, still learning lots, but really been impressed with Kobayashi because the Japanese have been short of a few singles sliders for a few years.
Exactly. Just holding on there. Haven't had a really nice correction, but I'm really impressed with his sliding too over the last 2 years, and I think his partnership with the Americans has really shaped him to be a much stronger slider.
So Kobayashi back by 3/4 of a second. We're back out of the seeded group now, so we're back to the athletes that raced and qualified from the Nations Cup now to finish up this 30-man field in this EBERSPÄCHER Luge World Cup in men's singles. Kobayashi looking pretty stoked with himself there, though. Clapping the hands, coach looking happy.
Yeah.
Lots to build on.
Exactly, lots to build on. I'm really excited to see how he develops into the Olympic season next year, but a little squirrely off the start there. He saved that really well, and the same out of corner 9 there. So definitely some time in this run. Hopefully he gets the chance to see the second run that only the top 20 get to see.
Definitely. And the next athlete we're going to see, hang on, let's just see that masterclass in survival skills and tap dancing out of 9 from Kobayashi. Again, just being very, very economical with how much he used his feet on the ice, but used it just enough to keep himself on track to continue the run. As we come to somebody who's also been incredibly impressive, I'd call this his breakthrough years, Svante Kohala of Sweden, just having a breakout season. Been on the podium in Nations Cup a few times this year. Big lad, strong, powerful athlete.
Yeah, some problems out of corner 2 there, which I think are going to compound a lot for him, but he's been having a breakout season for sure. Definitely seeing a lot of PBs from him. Really high peak in the end of corner 5 there. Manages it well going into corner 6 and 7, though.
Big heavy landing off the end of corner 5 there. That will cost him as well. But this is where it's all decided as he power slides out of the Dragon's Tail.
Wow, holding on to it there. And he got that early height we were talking about earlier there, and it just spits you out in the wrong direction going into that chicane.
Nice entrance to 14, though, from Kohala, but too early to 15. Almost puts him off. Manages to keep the sled's shiny side down as he cuts to the finish line, crossing the finish line into 17th place. Svante Kohala of Sweden back by a second and change, but lots to build on for this athlete. Again, I've said I can't say how much I've been impressed by his breakout season. You know, you see athletes have these breakout years, and most athletes have a few of them. This has definitely been one for Svante Kohala.
I agree, and he knows that too, and I think he just really wanted to build on that. Unfortunately, with his mistakes out of 2 in corner 9 there, it was just too much, and it's just too costly on the time.
Lots of ice coming out of the back of the sled, which, if you're new to luge, creates friction, which ultimately slows down our athletes in their quest for gold.
That's it. You're hitting the brakes in a sport that doesn't have any brakes.
So Svante Kohala into 17th position. And now David Nosler, very, very brave finish in the mixed competition last week, where he, with a very badly injured leg, attempted to hit the touchpad with his leg as he was ping-ponging up the straightaway in Whistler. So David Nosler trying to make up for that, that difficult week in Whistler that he had last week. And looking good here, Reed. Yeah, by a quarter of a second, but big hit there.
Big hit. I just feel for that foot. I hope that's okay there. That was a big one out of corner 9. Just coming out too early again. Just getting across the line now.
Nice and late into 15. That's the best 15 we've seen so far today. Big cut to the finish. Crossing the finish line, 1.5 seconds back. Such bagging, such fine lines in this sport, Reed. I mean, especially out of 9 into the Dragon's Tail.
That's it. You got to be so dialed in there. You have to have your height at the exact right place, take it out at the exact right time. And right there, you can just see, if we go back here, he gets that early height in corner 9 right there, and it just sinks. And then you're stuck flat. And then right there, tries to fight it, but kicks it back over, and then a big hit airborne going into corner 12 there. I remember that. Been there once or twice. Blue arms.
A famous photo in the during the Olympics of Joseph Ninnis getting airborne there.
Oh yeah,
almost above the short wall. He hit it so hard.
Yeah.
Fabulous photograph, but not a nice position to be in, especially for David Nosler with that badly injured leg that he's been carrying this season.
Good to see him up on 2 feet, though. Didn't look like it bothered him too much.
Like we say, these luges are tough as we get to our final 10 athletes of this 30-man field. This is Alex Guffler of Italy.
Yeah, really young athlete here. Lots of potential in the strong Italian team. Very high in corner 2 with the boards right at his arm.
Yeah, playing a dangerous game in curve 2 there, getting incredibly high, as you say, Reed. And the thing with this sport is those mistakes you make at the top of the track, they just compound as you go down the track.
Exactly. In the time it does, but looking right now, he's having a really solid run. Those boards in corner 2 haven't thrown him off his game. He's driving very solid lines down here in this bottom section.
Nice 13-14 transition for Alex Guffler. Let's see what he gets in 15. A little early in. Going to have to push it across a bit, and he does. Cutting round to the finish, just hanging on to 16 a little bit, but back by just about a second from Wolfgang Kindl into 16th place for Alex Guffler of Italy. And I'm sure this has been an incredible learning week for Alex Guffler, and a lot of these athletes that we haven't seen, as we see him there getting acquainted with the boards at the top of corner 2.
Yeah, not a good place to be, but other than that, his run was really good, but unfortunately the time that was lost from that mistake up top just could not catch it on the way down. Hopefully he'll have enough in it for the second run, top 20, and see what he can do, clean it up.
And I think, you know, we're seeing this, our sport, become more and more global. You know, the FIL have been great in really addressing, supporting these tracks that are a little further from Europe, like the ones here in Asia, and the FIL have been really productive in making sure that the plan is to give them lots of races where it's possible.
Yeah, exactly. Love to see Asia come back on the tour more often.
And 0.06 of a second in it for Marcinovsky of Ukraine. Marcinovsky having a great start there.
Yeah, really good start from the young Ukrainian. Again, they're really coming into form this season.
Yeah, just dropping back by about 1.5 tenths. Little early on there, but doesn't seem to phase him. Marcinovsky, let's see where we are at the 27 split, though. I'm guessing about 1/3 of a second. Getting out down the Dragon's Tail. It's not the prettiest, but he's out on both runners as we come from 13 to 14.
Yep, now the next key section here, getting that nice entrance into 15, sorry, good height, just a little late there. Nice save, though.
Yeah, nice cross across into 16, but back into 19th place. But a happy smile and a thumbs up from coach there, as Marcinovsky comes up the finish into 19th place, just about 1.5 seconds back from our leader, that is still Wolfgang Kindl, who's looking to leave PyeongChang with a brace of gold medals.
Imagine that, 2 for 2 tonight. That'd be something.
That would be really throwing down a marker going into next weekend as well in Beijing, which we'll also be televising on YouTube. There we go.
It's great to see all the athletes coming down, no matter their runs. They're all smiling. They're all having fun this week.
And that's what it's about.
That, exactly.
And this, you know, we talk about this track being a fun track. I think it is a fun track because it is so different to all the other tracks on tour.
Oh, 100%.
So Rasmus Moberg of Sweden, again another big starter. I'm not aware of any artificial start facility in Sweden. So this comes from the gym and just sheer raw talent.
Yeah, exactly. Cutting some ice way back up there in corner 2 there, which is going to cost a lot of time. Let's see how we can get out of corner 9 here.
Very flat across the middle of the line, but makes it work for him.
That sets you up for a later entrance into 12, but at the same time, not the biggest deal in the world. As long as you're through there clean, that's usually good enough.
Clean 14, get his composure back before the tricky 15. Very early onto 15, needs to push it across. Manages to. Low round 16. Cutting across the finish line, Rasmus Moberg of Sweden into 18th place, just 1.5 seconds back from our leader, Kindl.
Yeah, not a bad showing at all from the young Swedish athlete here. Haven't been seeing too much of him, but it's really good to see him start to get on the World Cup tour, and hope to see a lot more of him, and even hopefully in the Olympics next year as well.
Wouldn't that be great? You know, we look back to the Swedish athletes of days gone by, Anders Soderberg, Bengt Walden, and there was a bit of a gap in the development, as there often is when you have a lot of success. There's sometimes a fallow time for these luge nations, but I've been so impressed with the Swedish program and how they're just going from strength to strength. So great to see as one of the traditional sliding nations. So, for Romania, bib number 25, Eddie Cresian.
One of those Romanians that's been on the tour for quite a little bit now, almost becoming a veteran here and having some pretty good runs.
Yeah, they start them young, and that wooden track in Sinaia, I believe it is, where they learn their craft. And I think when you're learning on natural ice on a wooden track at the beginning of your career, when you get to an artificial track, it must seem a lot easier.
I should bring that back to the World Cup tour again. We can pick things up again.
As we see Cresian just dropping back a little bit from Kindl, but not by that much. He's back by about 0.2 on that split, but he's gone to about half a second, just having to drop the feet down the Dragon's Tail into 12. Just getting picked up on the end into 13. Just getting it together now. Just gives you time on this big right-hander to prepare for 15 and maybe find some speed in the bottom of the track.
Yeah, that's it. Just had to get the pontoons down with the sideways pressure out of corner 9 there. But overall, 19th, just on the bubble for the second run here.
It's going to be close because we've got some. We've got Valentin Cretu coming next, another Romanian and another veteran. So he's going to be close on the cusp of this, making it through to the second run. Just having to drop the feet for the entirety of the straight. But like you said, Reed, you got to do what you got to do.
Got to do what you got to do. That's it.
And really, there's no marks for style in this sport.
I wish there was, but
There's a chance for second run.
I'll see if we can hold on to that second run.
And he's got a red on the control, unfortunately, on the traffic light. So he's going to be going to go and get weighed at some point and have his sled looked over as we get to one of the true veterans on the track. No Joseph Ninnis here this week from Slovakia, the elder statesman of the tour. But who we do have here is Valentin Cretu, new dad as well. Had a baby daughter, I believe, just a few days ago.
Congratulations to him. Out of corner 9, just on the edge there, cutting a bunch of ice.
Well, hopefully that one makes the highlights reel, because that was real pinball down the Dragon's Tail, and it actually worked out pretty well for Valentin Cretu, as did that exit of 15.
Really well done on the exit of 15. Just there at 17th place too, so he's going to be on the cusp and going to have maybe have another chance for the second run to clean that up.
Definitely lots of time Valley can find there for run number 2. We see here this curve 9, just heading towards that right wall. Can't correct away from that bump, just pinballs into that left wall, but manages to not get airborne.
Yeah, that's it, but you can see all that ice he cut on the entrance of 12 there, and that, again, is just hitting the brakes in a sport that doesn't have brakes, unfortunately.
Yeah, great sliding and showing his experience there. Valentin Cretu of Romania. As we move back up to the top of the track for our first Chinese athlete of the day. Had a tough time in doubles, the Chinese doubles team. But here we see Zhenyu Bao of China, ably coached over the years by Tony Benshoff up until this season, Wolfie Schadler, all these legends in the coaching world, and of course Nori Huber, really putting in the hours with this Chinese team and basically building them from scratch towards the Beijing Olympics in 2022.
And he's done a really good job. I really like the way the Chinese are sliding right now. They still need some more exposure to the tracks and consistency, but on this sled, they look pretty good. We're a little skiddy there. Held on to it well, though. Really committed.
Gets away with it, and why not? Very late into 14, but just stretching out there. A little early to 15, just seeing that throws him up into that right wall, but manages to get it across. Bit of a skid into 16, into 24th place for Bao. He's not going to get a second run, but he showed some flashes of very good sliding there, I thought, the Chinese racer.
And I agree, and that's what I really like watching about the Chinese team is they really go for it with position, right? Even if the lines aren't there, they really go for it, and they look very comfortable on the sleds at such a new stage in their sliding career.
Exactly. You know, we keep speaking about experience here. As you just see him overcorrecting there. I say overcorrecting. There wasn't a lot he could do other than correct. Very hard correction. But it's so good to see certain parts of the track actually looking really good for these Chinese athletes. And as we said, it's a sport of experience. So as that experience builds, I'm expecting great things from this Chinese team. As we move to another slider from this neighborhood, this is Jimin Kim of Korea. Born in 2005, just 19 years old, Jimin Kim. Been tearing up a few trees on the junior circuit as well.
Yeah, this will be a really exciting run to watch here. This is a track that could really advantage a hometown hero, so.
Absolutely, and Wolfgang Staudinger, head coach of Korea, ably assisted by Polish bear, Maciej Kodowski. A little overcorrection there, almost gets it sideways, manages to hold on to it.
Great save, just didn't have enough to stick it on the exit there, unfortunately for Kim.
Very early to 15. Didn't work out too badly for him at all, hitting that nub on the entrance of 15. As Kim crosses the finish line into 25th position. Not going to get a second run again, but again, you know, China, Korea, a lot of these Asian countries racing on their home tracks, or at least tracks in their neighborhood. So great to see us truly becoming a global sport. And, you know, props to him. You know, it's a brave run. And bad luck out of 9, unfortunately. But just heading for that right wall, you have to correct. And as you can see, that's what happens if you overcorrect.
Yep, that's it. Just have to be so quiet there, and you really have to nail that exit drive off a 9. But he looks happy. He's having a good time. World Cup debut, so all smiles here, can only be going up from here.
So, next up from China as well is Jing Li. Haven't seen much of him on the tour this year. But keeping his position well here.
Yeah, looking real tidy in the top section here. Down a little, down 6/10 already. Comes from the start, but looking for a good run here. A little sideways out of 6 there, but just getting his composure back here for corner 8.
Yeah, Jing Li just rolling off the handles there. Looking to not use the start as a weapon, but to use his sliding as a weapon instead. And looking good there out of 9. Not a bad 13, and a nice entrance to 14. Nice flat line through the middle of 14. This is turning into quite the run for Jing Li. And a nice cross to 16 as well. Putting it down. Great sliding there from Jing Li into 25th position, but I think hopefully his coach gives him a high five, and his teammate does too, because that was some solid sliding.
And that's what I mean about the Chinese. They look so comfortable on the sleds. They just need a bit more experience to get it done. I really hope we get that slow-mo shot out of corner 9, how he just stuck it with the position there, so confident in himself. That was really confident sliding there.
Absolutely, and even when he got thrown up in that curve there, he just kept his cool. And a little bit of ice coming out the back of the sled into 13, but not as much as we've seen from some other athletes. And you can see him really pushing the position there, round 14, fighting for every thousandth.
I can relax.
Great sliding there from Lee. There you go, a well-deserved pat on the back from his teammate. As we come to our final athlete of this first run, and I've got to say, another racer who I've been so impressed with, Walter Wikström of Finland. 3 years of sliding under his belt, and now he's racing World Cups and doing not bad at all.
Yeah, I can't even fathom that. My 3rd year of sliding, I don't even remember. It was still the basics. Hitting walls, definitely nowhere close to World Cup, so super impressive.
Good to see what looks like a Latvian sled in a World Cup for once.
Yeah, there you go. A little bit pressure on the end of 2 there, which pushed him into 3. Has his composure back by the exit of 4 here.
Certainly. So Walter just needs to keep his cool now. Just take it curve by curve as we approach curve 8. Almost manages to stick it, just almost got away with it by threading the needle. Just a foot down into 13, but Walter Wikström just fighting for a second run. He's probably not going to get it, but a little early to 15. Manages to get some good cross, though. Walter Wikström of Finland, who we wouldn't have seen on the start 3 years ago because he didn't know the sport existed. I think he can also give himself a firm pat on the back. Walter Wikström of Finland, ladies and gentlemen, someone who you're going to be seeing a lot of in coming years, I think.
3 years of sliding to just be in the World Cup Tour, especially here on this tough track, and just getting it down is just a super impressive feat on its own.
Absolutely, as we see him come into 9 here. And again, that's just a little bit of experience, but you know, he kept his position, kept his cool. All the building blocks are there. Now it's just details.
That's exactly it.
So Walter Wikström wrapping up this first run for us. Only the top 20 get a second run. So we're going to see who we've got, what the scores on the doors are. In third place, David Gleirscher. Second place, Dominic Fischnaller, and leading the pack at this halfway point is Wolfgang Kindl, another athlete rolling back the years. Max Langenhan in fourth right now. That battle alive and well between him and Nico Gleirscher. Johnny Gustafsson in 13th off the back of his Nations Cup victory. And as we look at the back of the pack here, David Nosler just missing out on a second run, as is Svante Kohala and Marcinovsky, who had such a big start from Ukraine, and Walter Wikström finishing up the roster, unfortunately not getting a second run. So coming up at 10:05 local time, we have second run of the men's singles. So that is about 40 minutes away. So it's time to make yourself a coffee or whatever you wish. And we'll hopefully see you back for run number 2, because this is turning out to be an absolute classic.